5 at 5, 2 murders, 3 shootings, 11 months apart. Tonight, Douglas County investigators believe they know who did it.
At the same time, they're asking for the public's help to fill in some blanks. Brian Mastery tonight on how detectives cracked the case.
A bombshell today from the Douglas County Sheriff. An Omaha woman is in custody on 2 murder charges and attempted assault. Investigators tell me that she was well on the path to fitting the definition of an alleged serial killer.
Had she been successful in actually killing her 3rd victim, would have easily met the definition of a serial killer, and arguably may today, given the fact pattern at hand.
The suspect is 41-year-old Erica Mims. She's been in custody since March on felon in possession of a gun, while investigators tried to connect the homicides. Here's how she went from a person of interest to being booked for 2 murders. The first centered on this crime scene, August of 2022, 73rd and Rainwood Road. A body had been dumped here after being shot multiple times. A fingerprint gave investigators his identity, Lamar Ned. He was 46. We're told he'd lived on the streets. Fast forward 6 months, the family of LaRon Hodges files a missing persons report. A month later, his body is found in his own car at a private impound lot in Omaha. He had been shot multiple times. Investigators within the sheriff's office and Omaha police noticed some similarities between the 2 murders and started looking at other shootings. Typically, 6 News doesn't share the identities of victims, but in this case it helped investigators build a stronger case. This is Ronald Townsend. He had been shot at multiple times 5 months before Lamar Ned was killed. He was hit in the leg. He survived. By sharing the stories, investigators hope to answer this. Are there more victims or accomplices?
We don't know. That's what we want to find out. Could there be potential other victims out there? Yes.
On your side in West Omaha, Brian Mastery, 6 News.
If you have information on other victims or participants, investigators would like to hear from you. The number is on the bottom of your screen. Deputies have arrested 2 others for accessories to the murder of LaRon Hodges. These 2 remain in custody on $5 million bond each. 6 on Your Side asked investigators if they have a motive for the shootings. The captain simply said it was over money.